Because this conference does nothing if you don't actually do it. And that's the only downside of conferences. I've thought of doing a ton of conferences, and then I'm like, if I do too many, then people use the conference as a crutch. It's like, oh, I'll just go to another conference, another conference. So let me say this. Here's the action plan for everybody here. Okay, sure. And this applies everything, cryptocurrency, money, social life, all this stuff. It's all the same thing. And this is why I call it this mentor conference. Is that another room over there, Rome? That one? What room is that right there? Oh, what door does that go to? Is that a lobby too? Okay. All right, here's the action plan. So, number one, it's the search for additional mentors. That's number one. This is all S's, by the way. So you can call it the 3 S's if you want. Subtraction of the negative exploiters, I'll call it. So by the way, if you just do number 1 without number 2, this whole thing doesn't work. Some of you are going to do that. And if you just do number 2 without number 1, it also doesn't work. Does that make sense? To get to 3, you're probably going to need a little addition, a little subtraction, because you overshoot it. So you might add 1 plus 5, and you'll get to 6. Then you've got to know how to subtract 3 to get back to 3. Does that make sense? The odds of everybody here perfectly aligning their life and their business to add up, 1 plus 2 equals 3 perfectly on the get-go, it would be true if everybody here was a blank slate. But everybody here has people in their life already. You got stuff in momentum. So some stuff got to be subtracted. And some of you, again, some of you have to subtract back to 0, by the way. I've had to do that in life. You just have to subtract. Because, let's be honest, some of us are the problem ourselves. So just if you subtract everybody out of your life, you still got yourself. That's your own enemy. Right? So, and you can't get rid of yourself in this equation. I mean, you could, but then you wouldn't be in this. You don't need an action plan if you're not on. This is a planet Earth action plan. So if you take yourself off planet Earth, you won't need this. So I want you to, let's talk about this for a second. Here's the simplest guide for those of you who want to try this on your own. I'm going to do a test group thing, and I kind of have done this in 2017. It went really well, but it was too timely. I didn't like how it was set up. So last August, I did this thing where every Tuesday I would do a 1-hour mentor. Who was on those? I do a 1 or 2 hour every Tuesday, week in, week out, guiding people. Of all the things I've ever done in terms of people just loving it, that was, I bet you our refund rate on that, average refund rate in the industry, let's say, is 5 to 15%. I bet you it was 1%. People were like, but I told people, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. It's too hard. For those of you who were on it, I was traveling. I had to set up, it was just a pain in the butt. So I did it, exactly like I said, I did it for 3 months. Then I did another one after where it was once a month. The problem with once a month is it's not enough. Does that make sense? It's good, but it worked. People are getting results, business. There was a guy, I just got a guy who just sent me a thing he made. I put it on my Twitter. Some of you might have said he made $1 million or something in the last 4 months. And he's like, it's because I went in this thing. Now, I'm not promising you that that's normal. That's abnormal. But that was what he's like, I think he made 700 grand or something. And so here's this thing. It's, well, before I say it, so do you have anybody in mind? Because I'm not going to be able to do this for everybody, but for a group of you, maybe 5 or 10% of you, I got a better way to do this in 2018. And so I want to make a special test group. Not everybody should go in it. And I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to sell you guys into something else, because I'll show you how to do it on your own, too. You can do it on your own. And then those of you who want to do it with me, we'll open up in the back. You guys can go and we'll do a special test. People want to jump in this special test group. So the third S is, we'll just call it this, special test group, okay? Now I'm going to show you how to build one on your own. And special, or I like the word set. You need a set routine to push you forward in this. Because it's going to be hard. You're going to be like, oh, how do I build my website? Oh, I feel like, who here ever procrastinates? Oh man, I wish I had gotten that up. Oh, who here saw me talking when I did that crypto thing in October? Who saw that little mastermind I did at my house? I did this war room. Some of you guys saw that? That was when we were being like, go into Stellar. It's at 1 penny. It's at 50 cents. 20 grand is $1 million. That's literally not even 6 months ago. That's like I think it was, when did we do that mastermind, Maya? The war room, I don't know, it was October, I think. So procrastination is what ends up messing people up. Does that make sense? So what I had with like Joel Salatin was every single day for, was it 19 months, Joel? 19 months. Joel said it was the longest 19 months of his life with me there haunting them. But he had a house in the back. Literally a very small house. It was 12 by 20, right? So 12 by 20, it's basically the size of this stage. That's about 12 by 20, maybe a little bit wider. Not much bigger, maybe one more panel. So I lived for about 2 years in this thing. It didn't have a toilet, so it had a bucket with a hole in the floor with wood chips. That was Joel's. Remember that? We had that, Joel? With a composting toilet. So you got to take your bucket out in the morning, go into the house, carry it. And yeah, that was exciting. And it did have a shower. And it didn't have heat when I got there. And it was cold, boy. I remember I woke up and I was sleeping in a sleeping bag on top of a blanket because it was cold. And then my glass of water was a frozen solid. The whole glass from the top to the bottom. That's how you know it's cold in your room. So, and I would wake up around, I wasn't the most early bird, but I would be up around 5 in the morning. And then I would do 2 hours of chores for the chickens. And then I'd go and make myself breakfast. Me and this guy, Geronimo, was there. And we weren't good cooks, but we were hungry, man. When you work on a farm 7 days a week, no breaks. I didn't go date any girls, didn't party, didn't all the college frat things people were doing. Did zero of it because Swope is a very small town. How big is Swope? It's a post office, about 500 people in the city limits of Swope, and with a general store. And so I would wake up, and we'd be hungry, and we'd get these cracked eggs because we didn't have to pay for those. And we'd make 2 to 3 dozen eggs. And then me and him will put 36 eggs in a thing. We get 18 each, and we get bread, and we put butter and oatmeal, and we'd eat that. And then about 8 o'clock we'd go, and Joel was there pushing. And so that was that special test group, because Joel, when I was 19, called my family. It's down when I live in the mobile home in North Carolina. And I remember the call, my stepdad answered, and Joel's like, I want him to try a special experiment, special test group. I'm going to let people come and live with me for a couple years. Or at first it was only 6 months, I think, right? A year. And you have to commit, so I didn't go to college. I skipped that. And he's like, I'm going to push Tai. And trust me, those of you who work for me, Joel is meaner than me in some ways. Not meaner, like he doesn't swear, but Joel, you would have been a good boot camp drill sergeant. That's putting it mildly. But the good, you mellowed some? Do you think I got the brunt of it? Yeah, I was kind of like the first child. You're a little bit harder on the first child. Joel wasn't extreme, but you did not mess around. And I was like 8 in the morning, so you do your 2 hours, you wake up, and then you'd work basically from 8 in the morning until 9 at night, and then you go to bed. And you did that every day for years. And out of that, it's funny, people think I'm a hard worker. I honestly think I have low self-esteem about my work ethic, and I know why. Joel works hard. Like there's business people saying they hustle. BS. I have already been around hustlers. And they might be, but not manual labor. Joel would work. And then I went and lived with the Amish for 2.5 years. And the Amish idea of hard work is breakfast at 3:30 in the morning, and you work 18 hours a day, milking cows by hand. It's even harder. And so I have this like low self-esteem about my work ethic. And Maya and Herman, who grew up, didn't have this special test group I had that rewired my brain. They're like, you are the most energetic, hardworking person I've ever met. And I just can't see it. It's kind of like my superpower. It's not hard for me to work hard because I got like rewired. Does that make sense? And it has nothing to do with me, because I know I was relatively lazy person when I first went to you, Joel. Joel's biggest complaint was how slow I walked. Remember that? Joel walks so fast, it's unreal. I remember for years just being like, how does he walk so fast? I would have to jog to keep up. I'm not the only person with that experience. That's like a very common thing. People come to Joel, and Joel just... So this special test group I was in, it was the most formative part of my life. And then it went really after Joel for 2 years. It then went for about another 2.5 years. So it was close to 5 years. And because of that, I have an edge over most entrepreneurs. It's not the edge that people think. It's not the edge of, being smarter or something. It's just like what seems normal to me is like super abnormal to other people. So if I have to work for 10 hours on something, I don't really procrastinate. It's not, and I would say, Joel, you are the least procrastinating person on planet Earth. Trust me, Joel, how many books have you written? 12 books, and Joel wakes up, what's your book routine? You wake up at? Wakes up at daylight, and you write before breakfast, right? You were doing that back then for like an hour. Joel basically do chores, you wake up what, 4:35, something like that? Daylight. Doesn't go by time. But Joel's in there every day. Before breakfast, he's already written out 3-4 chapters. Who here wishes they were more disciplined, that if you had it in your head, you knew you would do it? Just think about that. Any idea in your head, you would do it. I'm like 80% of Joel's procrastination. As people who know me well, if I want to launch a business, it will get launched as fast as anything. And it's not because of me. So I want you to find a special test group like that has set times that you meet. Who here goes to church? Ever been to Bible study? You got your church every Sunday around, let's say, 10, 11 in the morning. You go, it's a set time, then maybe you go to Bible study on Wednesday. That's like a set group you're in. Does that make sense? You got to form your own. And it has to be other people. Do you notice you go to church with a group of people? You don't just go to an empty building, everybody sit alone and go, I will transform myself. No, you need people. And then when you go to that Wednesday group, it's a smaller group. And you need people. And you will never overcome procrastination any other way. I posted about a month ago a book on procrastination, The Science of Procrastination. Most fascinating thing in that book that I had not even put together, but it's so common sense. The number one reason people procrastinate, guess what it is? No, that's what I thought. Loneliness. You don't want to do it alone. Yes, it is fear. If you knew right now, just imagine this. We break into groups, special test groups right now. And let's say for whatever reason, we had to stay in this room for 3 months. It's just the airplane system in the United States, there was a nuclear something and we're stuck here. Remember what happened in Hawaii? Somebody accidentally texted, you got 5 minutes till nuclear holocaust. Did you see what I posted on Twitter? I was like, somebody just got fired. Sure enough, the next day they're like, that person no longer works at the Hawaii, threat level DEFCON or whatever. If we broke this into groups right now, by row, so there's about 10 people here, you would be a group. You would sit right here, and for the next 3 months, 8 hours a day, I would stand right here, Joel would stand right here, Alex Mayer would stand right here, and we would guide you. So you want to build a website? You want to do e-commerce? You want to sell on Amazon? You want to make $1.2 million? Jaden did with social media marketing, I'm going to watch you. Oh, you getting a little lazy? Come on, man. Let's go. Time to go now. Just imagine what that would do. You know, in 3 months, I guarantee you, I'd put you 3 years ahead. I've done it. It's not my favorite thing in the world, honestly. I don't love it. But like my brother Ben, I don't know where he is. He started working with me at 18, and Maya too. They were horrific. They were. No offense. People meet Maya and they're like, she's the greatest business. I have a billionaire investor that used to be come down here, and he's like, Maya's the greatest person I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, because I was on top of do this, in a stern way. Not a mean way, but like, don't mess with me way. If we're going to do it, let's do it. Everybody here, we also, just imagine this, you wake up. We'd wake up normal time for the next 3 months. Boot camp, life boot camp. So from 8 to 9 in the morning, every single person here is going to eat good food prepared by the best chefs. We're bringing them in, we're eating the best, highest quality. Then you digest the food, we have an hour session. You get your strongest from about 11 to 1 in the afternoon, depending on when you wake up. We go in, the best trainers in the world come. Arnold Schwarzenegger pops in every once in a while. The Rock pops in. Okay? Then, after that, everybody learns to take a nap. If you can take an 18-minute nap every day, it'll transform your life. It's one of the secret ninja tricks I have. 18-minute nap, mark my word. People argue with me. For my body, 18 minutes is insane. You only sleep 5 minutes, but you literally get exactly 2 hours more of power. In the gym, it's funny. The other day, my trainer was like, dude, did you take a nap? You can literally lift about 20% more. If I take an 18-minute nap, you get stronger. It's weird. Everybody, and it's kind of common. Sometimes I say these, people are like, no, that's not true. I'm like, do you have any common sense? You tell me a power nap that the greatest, most powerful people from Napoleon to presidents have done. It's all because they're dumb, right? It was all psychosomatic. 18 minutes, because when I sleep more than 18, it takes me too long to get up. You go too deep, who here has ever napped too long and it takes you 6 hours to recover? And also, you mess up your sleep. If you sleep 2-hour nap, sometimes you can't fall asleep till like 4 in the morning, 5, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, but if I took you through this routine, then we eat a good lunch, good dinner. Then we go out, maybe do some public speaking. Everybody gets up here. I'm going to train you how to do public speaking. Or I'm going to bring in someone better than me. Every life skill, I'm going to show you how to read people. I'm going to bring people in different scenarios in front of every one of you. You're going to just talk to them. You're going to have coffee with them. And at the end, I'm going to say, tell me what their score is. You give me 3 months, you will be unrecognizable to all your friends.
Where do I sign up?
What? I don't know how to, I'm not going to lock, this hotel, if I lock you all in here, it's going to be a nightmare. We're going to all have a hostage situation with SWAT team. But let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you something that's going to scare you. You know that everyone in this room had that chance. It was called school. They had us in our most formative years, 6 years old, for 8 hours a day. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th, 12 years. You know what potential we're operating at? Every person in this room, myself included, everybody? 1%. You could have made everybody machines. First of all, everybody in here could be at the optimal body fat for their body, permanently. Because when you're young, if you get too many fat cells, it becomes a pain the rest of your life. You know that fat cells have a lot of stem cells. So once you get them, they grow faster. So we'd all be at the right body fat, whatever that is for our body. We would also have a habit like The Rock where you'd like to exercise. You can completely obliterate. Procrastination is a habit like drinking. You can get out. I just did this thing with Odell Beckham Jr. You guys like football? He was over at my house. I did an interview with him. The most fascinating thing he said he used to really suffer from procrastination. This is one of the best pro football players of our time. And I was like, what'd you do? He's like, oh, I fixed it. I was like, what do you mean fixed it? He's like, yeah, I figured out there's ways that I just got rid of it. I was procrastinated a lot when I was like 18, 19 years old. I don't anymore. I have zero procrastination. And look, he just signed a contract. The man makes 10, 20, 30 million bucks a year. That's the upside of this boot camp. So I don't know how I can't overcome 12 years. And we learn faster. I got lucky. Who here is 19 years old or less? That's the optimal time. If you study science, before 25 is where you really can rewire your brain. And so I got lucky. I just magically ended up at Joel's at 19, the Amish before there. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. I wish if it had started when I was 6, the latent potential of planet Earth. We don't need to go to the moon. I love Elon Musk. It's a Mars. It is a dumb goal compared to reforming how we learn.
Are you going to put your kids in school in the future?
No, don't put your kids in school. Not the school that exists now. It's garbage. You either make your own or you band together a group of people that got the same mind. So, definitely not. I think that something like homeschooling, it doesn't have to be homeschooling, but something smaller. You can't put school. Who here just had the greatest experience of their life from age 6 to 18? Just everything was, woo, you were just like, love. I mean, people hate it, man. Kids commit suicide all the time. The whole system, people bully. You probably got 40% of kids bullied, which is permanent scars. I see them on their tests 30, 40 years later. And in addition to that, people don't remember, I don't remember there's not one thing that I use in my day-to-day life besides maybe memorizing the 9 times 9 is 81 kind of stuff, which you didn't need 12 years to do. There's not one thing. Public speaking wasn't taught. Negotiation skills weren't taught. Reading people wasn't taught. Psychology wasn't taught. Elements, all this stuff's new. Building a website, split testing, managing people, how to hire somebody, how to let somebody go, how to distance people out of your life, physical stuff. Everybody here would be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Men and women, easy. By the time, you might not be a black belt by 18, everybody here would be, every woman in here nobody will ever mess with you. If you're even a blue belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you're a machine. I know girls that are like, your daughter. I don't know your daughter, but it sounds like I don't want to meet her in a dark alley. Yeah, but everything useful wasn't taught. Not one, I can't think of something useful. Even how they teach you to read. Here's the thought. Who here, I will teach you, one of the things we would do if we were locked in this room for 3 months, I would teach you how to memorize stuff. There's an exact skill. I can memorize super long things, and it has nothing to do with IQ. Here's the irony of school. All school is having to memorize stuff for tests. Name one class you took on the art of memory. So what you're saying, you're going to make us play basketball and shoot the ball in the hoop, but just no classes allowed on shooting. But you got to make it in there, or we give you an F, and we doom you. You can't get in the good schools. But can I learn how to shoot? No, that is forbidden. It is a waste of taxpayer dollars. That's how, I'm telling you, the school system on a 1 to 100 logical scale. I used to think it was a 50. Then I learned more, and I'm like, well, maybe it's a 30. Now this thing's hovering in the 8, 9, 10 out of 100 potential. So what that means for everybody here, and this is what I was saying, is an action plan. And this isn't possible for everybody here. You're going to have to set this test group up on your own. Some of you are 70, some of you are 18. The only other choice is, I guarantee you, you're going to operate at 5, 10% of your potential. Some people don't care. That's fine too. I'd rather meet somebody that just goes, nah, don't care. I'm just like, okay, well that's a logical response. But I meet people like you guys that are going, no, I want to test the limits of what I could do on planet Earth. Okay, well, you have to go through Navy SEAL training. Navy SEALs are machines. How do they get there? They're in a special test group. Okay, we're going to meet on the beach. We're going to do 1,000 push-ups. So I want to encourage you, and I'll take some questions on that. This is what I'm going to do. So I tried this in August of last year. It worked very well. Did some of you go through it that were there? Raise your hand. Did you guys like that? Did it help you every Tuesday? Okay. Then I stopped it, like I said. People think I create a lot of false urgency and like, oh, I'm only going to do this once. No, I only did it once. So it's not that. I talked to a guy, and I've been setting up something, and I've never announced it. I like to announce new things at these because I don't know, I just pick a random date. So I got a new way to do it that I can almost work with you guys every day, virtually, from wherever you live in the world. I'm not going to promise I'm going to pop in every day. But I've got a way to do a group, to do live calls, to do things that we can basically, and I'm going to do it for 3 months again. So I'm not going to do this for a year. It's too intensive on me. I'm doing it. I've done it. Like I said, I've taken my brother Ben. My brother Ben was an average school student, was an average marketing person. Wasn't good when he came in. Now Ben knows more. I don't know if any marketer in the world knows the stuff that I know except my brother Ben. So I can train somebody. I've taken people from, like Jaden. Jaden never had a bank account. And I didn't even work with him that closely. So imagine if I had worked with them for 3 months, you know, and I've seen that. I've seen this work. It'll work. It's more, I want to do it in this new way because it'll be better for you guys. So I want to take some questions for some of you who can't do it or are not going to be in this group, how you can set it up, some practical things. But you need to set up, just think of that thing I said about Bible study. Like Bible study, my mom was Christian when I was growing up, every Wednesday she would go to these Bible studies. Every Wednesday, and they would like sit around in a room and they would have a book together. It's just simple stuff, people encouraging each other to keep on. Does that make sense? Who here does that every Wednesday? There's like 7 or 8 local people. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the last 3 months, you've done it once a week. Raise your hand. Be honest. Been in a small group with somebody leading it that's 20 years ahead of you. That's the key thing. Okay, now the hands drop to 1, 2, 3. Are you the ones in network marketing? Most of these people are the ones. Network marketing gets a bad rap, but the network marketing, what I like about network marketing, I don't do network marketing myself, so this is unbiased. I'm not trying to get you in my network marketing group. I think it does this well because you get in a group and you kind of get brought through a process. So I want to bring some of you through this special test group process. So when I'm done answering questions, what we'll do is if you want to be in my special test group, stay seated. Everybody else can just go out and we'll have a networking time and stuff like that out there because I still want you guys to network and stuff like that. Those of you who want to stay, I'm going to set up it's a paid program. Some people go, why isn't it free? I mean, I do a lot of stuff for free. Honestly, this conference, I don't make any money. I guarantee you that I lost money or exactly broke even. Because how much do we charge? It's like a couple $100. Yeah, it's nothing. So I do these things because I think people sometimes learn better in person. So I try to do these every once in a while. This thing that I'm going to do, so I had an argument. You guys are going to like this in crypto. A friendly argument. There's a guy named Jeremy Gardner. Did you see him on my social media? He's a big guy in crypto. He started Augur. He's 25 years old. REP coin, it's a $900 million company, or billion market cap, it hovers around. So he said, Tai, this is last night, 2 nights ago, he goes, Tai, well, I tend to think that information should be free. Who's ever heard that? Information should be free. But I said, but Jeremy, nothing's free. Should somebody pay for a book? He said, well, no, I kind of think. I said, but then who writes the books if nobody gets paid? Who's going to take 3 years of their life like Tim Ferriss did to write the 4-Hour Work Week and sit there and write a good book for free? He's not going to write it. So he goes, you do have a point there. There'll be less good books written. So I was like, why does information have to be different than Subway? If you want a good sandwich, you pay for it. He then goes, well, what about Google? I said, Google ain't free. Google that sells your eyeballs on every display banner ad and every AdWord click? Are you insane? Publicly stated, they made $80 billion from you clicking. Did they give you a penny of that? Is it some co-op that it's a profitable business? And I'm happy because Google's incentivized, ideally, to give better algorithm results, right? So I'm going to make this a paid program just because I got other stuff to do, and if people want to do it, if nobody signs up for it, I don't care. I mean, it's not going to be a big part of my income. But I've also found, and I've said this, and people don't always believe me, I'm telling you, these conferences, I usually give to my close friends, I'll give like 50 tickets away. Every single time. You know what? We actually have a calculator that automatically discounts 50%. We have found that when people pay for the ticket to this conference, 90% of people show up. When I give my friends free tickets, under 50% show up. So sometimes charging people, and I'll encourage you as entrepreneurs, never apologize for charging for stuff. Just give a lot of stuff away for free. I just passed 1.2 billion minutes on YouTube free. In the crypto space, in the last couple of months, I've probably given away 30 million minutes of free interviews. So, yeah, you don't have to. I was more saying that's how you guys can set up your business model. You can set it up altruistically on one hand and then a profitable part on it. This little special test group is not going to be that profitable. So here's how it's going to work. It's very simple. Those of you who go in, and you can replicate this, by the way, for those of you who don't go into my test group, you can build your own test group like this. So number one, it's going to be, it's going to be a group. That's important. I've already tested one-on-one guidance. It's not as good as you think. You know, Navy SEALs training, how's Navy SEAL training? Do they go, you want to be a Navy SEAL? Me and you are going to go on the beach. No, it's a social thing. You need other people, comparative. So you see the other guy sweating and you go, oh, I got to catch it. You see what I'm saying? There's like a competitive aspect. So it's going to be in a group. Number two, it's going to be fairly often. So I've tested now once a week and once a month, and more often is better. Okay? I'm not going to be able to do it all day long every day, but it'll probably be 3 to 5 times a week. Okay? Number three, you need to set this up interactive. So by the way, church, for example, how often is church if people are really into church? They go usually 2 times a week, 2 times a week. So fairly often is important. Church is in a group. And then interactive means I want you guys who are in my group to be able to ask me questions one-on-one. So I got a way to do that with technology now. That's the one good thing about technology. I can pretty much, and I've been doing it more complicated where I needed a big setup and a rig and all that. I now just know how to do it just on my phone. I can just go live every so often, talk to you guys, give you 3 months, push. We'll be talking about everything. So you can ask questions about your business. You can ask questions about should you hire somebody. This is access to me. Now, for those of you who aren't going to do it with me, you need to find kind of one person that your group is going to look up to. It doesn't mean that they're perfect or know everything. So if you do this in your local community, find one entrepreneur that's 20 years ahead of where you want to be. So you want to make $1 million a year? Find somebody who's making $20 million a year, for example. Say, hey, will you devote some time? And I recommend that you pay them, because I have found the richer somebody is, the more they appreciate a dollar. It's not what you think. Richest people I know, there's a guy, one of the richest guys I ever knew, was one of the first investors in one of my companies. The dude I think he made $8 million a month, net. I've been to his house. He had a 45,000 square foot house. Where I live is pretty big, is 18,000. He had 45,000. I never saw the whole thing. He gave me one wing of it. I never even saw it all. This guy one time came down to LA, and he's divorced, so he wanted me to set him up on a date with somebody. And so I set him up at like a restaurant, and this girl, and they went, and he called me. He's like, dude, this is like $300. I was going, that's your response, 300? So don't think you're going to find these highly successful people in your local community that you're like, hey, will you do this for free? They're going to go, no. So offer them some money. If there's 10 of you, if there's 5 of you, band together, pitch in $1,000 a month and be like, we can pay you 5 to 10 grand. Because with rich people, it's more the thought that counts. It's not just the dollar amount. So with this guy, it was the thought that a blind date was, he's like, why didn't we go to his coffee? It's like, I don't know, maybe because you have $500 million in the bank account, and I didn't think It was the Mondrian he flipped out on Sunset Boulevard. $300 for her. I don't know if I like this girl. So I learned. That's what he said. He like called me at the date. He went to the bathroom and was like yelling at me. I gave Maya the phone. I was like, you handle this. He was funny. He was a little bit older. So he would text me. He's like, dude, where's a good disco to take this girl? And I was like, this date's not going to go well for this girl. I was like, there's no discos left in Los Angeles for the last 30 years. Discos? No. I think he was telling the girl, afterwards we're going out to a disco. It didn't go. They never got to a second date. But so I encourage you, you need to pay them. Pay the people. It will help you. Like I got a thing, I'm trying to get Elon. I've interviewed Elon Musk 3 times, but I want a long interview with him. So I just put out on my Snapchat, I'll pay 25 grand to anybody who gets Elon Musk. And if Elon Musk wanted 25 grand to one of his charities, I'd give 25 grand for that. So you got to pay to access, but 25 grand to talk to Elon Musk for an hour? I've talked to him for 30 minutes before, but to have like a structured interview, how powerful is that? I might learn something that makes me 10 million bucks in my life, right? So I want to encourage you guys, when you make your special test group at home, pay the people. Get everybody in your group. I think it should be at least 5 of you. And I don't know that there's an upper limit. I think it's better to be bigger than small. Because then the law of numbers. Remember how I said most people their dark triads suck? If you're in a group of 5 people, all 5 of them might be crazy, including you. So I think, you get a group, like what's the average church size? There's not many churches that are 5 people, right? There's some church. What's the average church size? I'm not trying to pick on churches here, but 300 people or something. Let's say 5 to 300 people in a group. By the way, if you get 300 people and you each pitch in $300 a month, how much can you pay the guy? Well, a month, not quite that much. Well, if you each gave 1,000, you could pay 300 grand a month. You might be able to get Elon Musk for 300 grand a month. Probably not, but does that make sense? So you get a bigger group, you can afford, do it fairly often, 1 time a week minimum, ideally 2. Make it in a forum that's interactive, so it could be a room, a house would be great. If not, you can use the internet to interact with them, live calls, private calls. Don't let it get too big. So you don't want to do it live like on Facebook where 50,000 people are there, because obviously that's too big. I don't know if there's any churches in America that have 50,000 people, maybe Joel Osteen or something like that. He doesn't have 50,000, does he? That would be a weird church to be at. Okay, now we're going to have tithing, communion. It's going to take 6 weeks to get everybody through this. One by one, here's your cup. So any questions on this? How to do this? This is how to do it at home. The way I'm going to structure this special test group that you guys will get first access to, I haven't announced this on my social media. Once I do, it will sell out. Like the one that I did in August, it sold out. I'm not trying to put urgency on you guys. It will sell, just like this sold out. I told you this would sell out. It sold out. We pretty much took the tickets down about a week before, 5 days ago. So any questions on how to do this on your own? This is the big takeaway from here. I know some of you didn't know what to expect from this. This will change your 2018, especially if you can get the right person orchestrating the whole thing. Yes?
When putting together your own group, where you recommend, from the speaker or the leader you're talking about, to also who's in the group, that field, what industry?
Yeah, does it matter who's in the group? I think eclectic is fine, but having some commonality. So for example, entrepreneurship would be a good group. And then it could be dentists, doctors, tech people. There's a group here. There's a really successful group that does this in Los Angeles. I think it's invite only. I don't know if you guys can just get in. It's called Metal. Anybody ever heard of Metal? METAL. It's a group. I think you pay $1,000 a month or a year. I can't remember. There's something with 1,000. They meet for breakfast every Saturday morning. There's a main guy who, what's the guy's name, Maya, that does it? He always tries to get me to come. Ken something. Ken, I think is it not the guy who owns Success Magazine? One of these. But anyway, it's $1,000 every day. Part of the reason I don't do it is because it's always like far away at like 8 in the morning on Saturday. It's like I don't know who set up the timetable on this. I'd rather do a dinner myself. I'm more of a night owl. So they go and they bring in different speakers. Ken Rakowski is the guy's name, Ken Rakowski. I think it's invite only because it's all kind of like baller level people. By the way, you know, I know Brock Pierce, you guys saw my interview with him. He's one of the most powerful guys in crypto. That's how I met him in 2008 before crypto. That's how I have, people are like, how the heck do you have access to the hardest guy in crypto that you can just go over his house and talk to him? I'm like, because I was in a group like, I was extended part of a group like this in 2008. There's huge power in this, man, huge. Some of you should make your own group. And you can charge, just the thing is, remember, whoever makes the group is going to get the least benefit. Because if you make the group, if you're teaching others, you're not gaining. When you teach, you don't really, like this group, imagine if I was sitting there and Elon Musk was here. I would get more out of today than I get out of today. No hate on anybody here. It's just common sense, right? So be careful of making yourself the leader. I think that's dangerous. Unless you really are, like, you need, people lie, but numbers don't. If you have like Alex Mayer could be a leader. You're like, why should you lead this entrepreneur group? Because my business makes $800,000 a day for years. And we made $250 million last year. And I'm retired and I do zero work in it. Does that seem like he's eligible? Yes. So you need people with like powerful credentials to lead your group. So if you have those powerful credentials, yeah, you need to find people with even more powerful ones. Question? Okay, so the best way to find people, believe it or not, it's like what Jaden said. Everybody's looking for this. Have the same talk that I gave you guys. Imagine you're locked in a room and 8 hours a day you're learning all the stuff they didn't teach you in school. Everybody resonates with that message. I'm telling you. When I talk to people at the top and the people at the bottom, I'm like, didn't our school system suck? We got to take back our education. I tend to procrastinate a little bit. I want to do it with a group. The number one reason we procrastinate is because we go at it alone. The danger of this conference, who here's ever gone to a conference? You didn't get this message, but you got a whole bunch of good info and you went off to go do it on your own. Let's be honest, how much of that actually got implemented in your life? Very little. There's people, I call them conference hoppers. They launch from one conference to another. They launch from one self-help book to another. And that's the biggest thing, because I get frustrated sometimes because I want everybody to be a success story like Jaden. And I have a lot of success stories. In that social media marketing group, I just passed 700 people have written me big stories, like I'm making 50 grand a month. I'm making, you know, like not just a little bit, I'm making $100 a month or something. So I'm getting this success story and I'm going, what do I need? How come not everybody gets them? And I realize it. It's not the information. It's the procrastination. You can't do New Year's resolutions unless someone's behind you kicking your butt, or you've been so hardwired for long enough that it stays as a permanent habit. The reason I'm going to do this special test group for 3 months is the average person takes 2 months to change a habit. So I'm adding an extra month just to be sure. So the main thing of this group that I think I am qualified to help you with. I'm not qualified to help you with everything. I'm not the world's best crypto trader. I'm not the world's best entrepreneur. But because of the people I learned from, I can teach you how to get stuff done. That's one thing I can teach you. Yes?
As a brain scientist, I'm a little bit curious about what is the reason for doing this. Obviously, it's not just for the sake of money. Is it because you were looking for the 300 who's going to be future leaders? Is that
So he asked why I'm doing this. Is it because I want the three? I still have this thing that I put out about a year ago. I said, I'm going to take 300 people from rags to riches. Well, I have 2 reasons to everything. And let's be honest. I wish we live in a world where people are honest. Everything we do is half altruistic and half selfish. So I'm going to tell you, no BS. This is my altruistic reason. I want to help people. But I have a selfish reason. Some people think I'm a scammer. Everybody agrees with that. Anytime you talk about money, people think you're a scammer. People don't even watch my stuff. It's like H3H3. You guys know H3H3? The biggest guy who ever did a video, most videos I never noticed. H3H3 has a massive following. When he did a video saying Ty's a scammer, I started noticing people contacting me like, oh, you're a scammer. So then I was like, Ethan, come to my house. And once he was here, he's like, oh, you're not a scam. And then he's like, come on my podcast. That's a good feeling to be vindicated. Do you guys see that? Okay, I have this thing I'm working on. I'm going to do a party. ideally this year. I think I'm going to do the first one in a month. So you guys probably will be too early to invite you. I'm going to invite every person that says I've ever helped them to my house. I'm going to put a mega drone camera, and it's going to be a giant FU, because I'm going to go, you think these are all paid actors? You know how many Jaden type people? I can't tell you. And this is not to brag about myself. It's just, I don't like the fact that anybody who talks about what they don't teach you in school gets labeled as a get-rich. I don't think that's right. I think it's part of the problem. That's what I say about Mark Zuckerberg. Anytime I write something, if I write a testimonial, how this makes me $58,000 a day, which is totally true. MentorBox is averaging, well, right now we're at 1.3 million. If I'm like, how, and I can show them audited financial statements, Mark Zuckerberg bans that live call instantly. They have an algorithm that takes it down. I've done it. And so I'm going, what kind of BS world do we live in where Mark Zuckerberg, who's benefited more from entrepreneurialism, he's worth $60 billion at 30. No one's ever gotten that much money that fast. Where he automatically assumes anybody else trying to be an entrepreneur should be kicked off Facebook. I don't think that's right. So I'm going to make this huge video. I want it to be this many people. And I just want to go for hours from person to person with the thing. I'm going to put it on the top of my website. Want to watch 19 hours of testimonials? So that's my goal. That's my goal. And that's myself. I know that's not the most, that's probably my narcissism coming out, being like, I'm sensitive to that. Hey, I'm not that sensitive, honestly. I've learned. All of you are going to have to learn to deal with, in fact, now if I start getting no negative comments, which sometimes happens to me, I'm like, we ain't spending enough on marketing. Something's wrong. If you get 0 negative comments, I promise you, you are not reaching a lot of people, because people are weird. They will get mad at you about anything. I get in trouble for doing charity videos because people go, well, the Bible says you should never do charity. You should not let the left hand show with the right hand. Well, I go, well, I'm not a saint. I didn't say I'm the Bible. I don't perfectly live by the Bible. But is it really that bad for me to show charity? Can Instagram only be pictures of half-naked people and bling and sports? It's impossible to show any good deeds, right? So I get bothered by it eventually, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to fight fire with fire. We'll make a badass video. So I want more testimonials, and of all the things I've done, the most testimonials came from the social media marketing agency. That thing, I mean, it's insane how many people. 67 steps, I get a ton. Everywhere I go in the world, it's like people are like, wow, that really, especially in crypto. A lot of the crypto people, I guess, have been following my 67 steps. But when I did that mentor thing in August, where every Tuesday I did a set call with people, that one gets a lot. That one got the most people being like, wait, you ended it? Can I go back in it? I'll pay you. And I was just like, no. I told you I was going to once. So I think now I'm going to do it more than once a week. It'll be, so basically this is how it works. Those of you who get in the group, you'll log into your phone. We'll probably use Facebook. Well, we will use Facebook. We'll use some other tools too. But the core, I'll add you to a private Facebook group. It's not any of the private Facebook group I have now. It's a special test group one. And that's the one I'll go into the most. So if you want access to me, you can live anywhere in the world, anytime. If you miss the live call, you can just post your questions. And when I'm live, I'll be answering the questions that I see. So I won't be able to answer everybody. There's not going to be 100,000 people in the group either. So it's not going to be that big. But so that's where we're going to go. I also, for somebody was asking me in the lunch, I've got 2 private seminars at my house. So this is like, whatever, 600 or 800 people. I'm not sure how many fit. They think they say 800 fit here. So I've done this about 4 times last year. It went super. It was awesome. We're going to do one on e-commerce and one on crypto. So if you want to be in a smaller group setting, I'm bringing in all the crypto people I know that I can get to show up. Some of them are very secretive. Half of them have left America, by the way, for tax reasons. They're making so much money. They're like, I'm patriotic, but I ain't that patriotic. I'm not paying $50 million in tax kind of patriotic. They're like, I'll send postcards to my grandma in America, but they live off in islands now. So Those, and they have a certain amount of days they can't be in America. They can only be in America a certain amount of days or else you become an American citizen. So some of these guys, like one of my friends, he's like dying to come to America, but he can't go right now. Now he can go January, reset, so he's excited. So we do that. But this group, this is different. This you could do from anywhere. How many people live in Los Angeles? Yeah, so about more than half of you are outside of Los Angeles. Whatever time frame you're on, 9 to 5, give me 3 months, and I'm going to throw stuff. I'm going to unleash everything that was unleashed on me that's helped me. Put it to you that way. And we'll be going. This will be practical. It's not going to be that abstract. I want to focus on the most practical thing in your life. Like, hey, Tai, here's my best friend's Dark Triad score. What would you do? Tai, here's my website. What do I change? Here is how I'm doing email marketing. Is this a good subject line? I've never offered this. Not even close. So this is I'm only promising this for 3 months. Almost every group I've done for 3 months, I never do again. So I may do it. If it goes great and it's not too painful, it's going to be somewhat painful because I already tested doing it. I have to go live and like answer. And I'm sure we're going to get a few wacky people in the group. That's always exciting. You get one person, it's like, ask more questions than everybody. I'm like, you don't see all the other people in here. I got to sit here and do it. So we will be removing a few people every once in a while. We'll refund your money if we remove you. Some people are going to get mad and going to write, it's a scam, Tai, take my money. And yeah, because you were annoying. It's like, I would have put an annoying clause in. Just, who here knows an annoying person? They're just like, I don't have many words to say to you. You're just annoying. So I'm going to kick you out. And then you can have all the money that you put into it. Any questions on that? Dude, look at that timing, Maya. It's 9:59. I am a machine. She said I have till 10. I like to be early, Maya. So I'm going to go till 59 seconds. I still have 30, 40 seconds. No, in all reality. So here's what I want to do. I want those of you who know you can't be in this for whatever reason, or some of you are super independent. I respect that. Go out. I want all of you that don't want to be in it to get up, go out, meet some people out in the halls. Just start talking to people. Hey, you want to be in my group? Want to be in my group? Want to be in my group? Make some allies. Make some allies. Samir and Juan listened to me at one of the first one of these I did at the Roosevelt Hotel. They were making $3,000 a month. Sorry. They listened to me. They went out in the hallways. They became business partners, and they are making a solid. Low months for them is $60,000 a month at 21 selling online. Their best month they made $212,000, and they're netting probably 30% margin. These kids are making probably netting $500,000, maybe $1 million already at 21. And they've only really, I think is this year 2? Not even 2 years in. And these kids are just getting started. You watch. They'll be in my 8-figure group when I do testimonials. I think they think they're going to hit, well, Jay didn't think he's going to hit 8 figures. So I can't promise you on the money thing. Look, I've already gone through people like, you promised me a certain amount of money. All I can promise you is I'm going to show you stuff that I don't think you can learn anywhere in the world, because I just calculated, I've spent $58 million in one of my companies. This is one. I just literally, in fact, my accountant is right there. Jim, raise your hand. He's a CPA, so if he lies, he loses his license. Did or did you not send me one of my company's P&L that was $58 million in spend? Yes. $58 million. And that's in 2 years. Maybe that's, most of it's in 2 years. That's in researching all this stuff, traveling, meeting these people. You know how I met Steve Ballmer, by the way? Paid like $50,000 to his charity. He had dinner with me. So sometimes people are like, hey, why don't you tell us everything Steve Ballmer told you for free? I was like, wait, let me get this straight. You're kind of an exploitative person, because I got to pay him $50,000, but I owe you it for free, Mr. Narcissist person. Entitlement. People are entitled. So I spent $58 million testing a lot of stuff under the sun. Health stuff. I'm not the perfect health, but I can tell you stuff that almost nobody in the world knows, because I've spent millions of dollars going to every doctor, every test. You name a crazy thing, stem cell, I know all the top stem cell guys. We'll talk about practical stuff like that, what they're telling me. And remember, it's not all about me. I'm going to be a relay. Some of the stuff I know from personal experience, some of it I don't. We're talking about health, we'll be talking about wealth, we'll be talking about social life, we'll be talking about the happiness stuff. And I'll bring in people as I can, but it'll be mostly me, which is different. Because a lot of my other programs you get in, I'm not in there. So if you want access to me, by far, your best chance right now. So here's what we'll do. I don't want to bore anybody. It's 10:02. I now went 2 minutes over. If you're not interested and you want to do this on your own, I want you to stand up and go out. If you're interested in learning more on how much it costs, the practical stuff, people have questions on a refund, stay seated, okay? So I'm going to do this on a count of 3. And if you're going to leave, try to leave quietly so that it's not super loud. Build your networking group out there. If you're not interested, stand up. If you are interested, stay. Now, staying doesn't mean you're obligated. Just means you want to hear more.